In this video, I'm going to show you how to get started in product photography on the cheap. At the end of the video, I'll give you a Darktable tutorial. Darktable is a free Lightroom alternative. I'm Ryan, and on this channel I cover photography and cinematography, tutorials, tips, and tricks. So the first part of this video is the gear. I'm recommending you pick up the Canon EOS 200D, which is what this video is filmed on right now. It has an EFS mount and an APS-C size sensor. It can shoot at up to 24 megapixels in RAW, and it has fast and reliable autofocus. 9 points of autofocus through the viewfinder, and it has dual pixel autofocus in live view or video. It can shoot photos at up to 5 frames a second with a buffer of 5 RAW photos. It records 1080p 60 video, and while I recommend shooting at 24 frames a second, the extra 36 can be used for slow motion up to 40% speed. First thing you want to do after you get the camera is upgrade the lens on it, since the lens is much more important than the camera body itself. The lens I'm recommending you pick up is the Yongnuo 51.8. It's $100 and takes great quality images, especially for the price. While it does have a subpar build and slow and loud autofocus, the 1.8 aperture gives a lot of depth of field and great low light performance. Now the focal length is 50mm on a full frame, which means on the Canon APS-C system, that's 80mm, which is tight enough in product photography for a product to look good, not so tight that you can't fit it in your frame easily. The final piece of gear that I'm recommending you pick up is a SanDisk 64GB SD card. It's $25 and quite reliable in my experience. I bought 2 in case one fails, because all SD cards can fail and I don't want to wait for a new one to arrive if the one I have does fail. What is your favorite camera lens? Let me know in the comments down below. Mine is the Canon EFS 24-2.8 that has very accurate and quiet autofocus, and 24mm works well in my small studio. I'm using it right now to film this entire video on the Canon 200D. The second part of this video is the software that you use to edit the photos, because taking a good photo is only half of the photo. So the best option for this is Lightroom and Photoshop. However, they cost $30 a month each, which means at that point you might as well go all the way and spend $80 a month for the entire Adobe suite. The advantages of Lightroom and Photoshop are dynamic link, which makes your photos high quality since you don't have to export them and then re-import them and then export them again for each software, content-aware fill, which cannot be found on any other platform, and the amount of plugins and presets available are just way more than any other program out there. But for those of you who cannot afford $60 a month, there are free and one-time pay options available. So for people who want to pay once and then be over with it, I recommend Luminar AI and Affinity Photo. Luminar AI is $108 and Affinity Photo is $80, but currently Luminar AI is on sale for $100 and Affinity Photo is on sale for $40. The advantage of this setup is that you get AI editing in Luminar AI, which is not available even on the Adobe suite. Adobe does have some AI, but it's nowhere near as good as Luminar AI. However, as I mentioned before, you're giving up content-aware fill and dynamic link. For those of you who want to spend nothing on software, I recommend GIMP and Darktable. Now at this point, you're giving up all conveniences such as AI and all the tutorials online, but it's completely free and works on nearly any system. For those of you who stuck around for the entire video, here is a Darktable tutorial. So you start on the Darktable homepage, which I'll have linked in the description below. Come up here to the install tab at the top of the page. Now choose which OS you're on. So I'm going to choose Mac OS, and it has instructions here for you. If you have a Mac with M1 chip like me, you may have to install Rosetta, and on any Mac you'll have to enable software that's not installed from the Mac App Store. So I download the DMG, and I'll just open it because I don't need to save the DMG, and wait. Now there are other ways to install Darktable, but this is the easiest way because it doesn't involve the command line or any third-party softwares. And when the download's done, it'll open, or if you selected save, you'll have to open it yourself, and all you have to do is drag Darktable into the applications folder, and that's it. Now just command spacebar and search for Darktable. Remember, the install process will be different depending on which OS you have, so make sure to follow the instructions on Darktable's install page and hit enter. Then it brings up a dialog box that says that it's an app downloaded from the internet and not from the Mac App Store. If you don't have the option selected in system preferences, where you can run apps not downloaded from the Mac App Store, it'll prompt you to do that. But because I have it turned on, I'm just going to click open. Now, if you want, you can eject the Darktable disk that the installer was on by right-clicking or control-clicking if you don't have right-click enabled, and then clicking eject Darktable. Now you have Darktable open. So there are 2 main sections up here. The light table is where you organize and export your images. The dark room is where you edit them, kind of like the library and develop tabs in Lightroom. So come up here to import, and I'll just go folder. Okay, so I'm just gonna open this folder that I put on my desktop with the photos in it from a previous video, which you can check out up here. But I'm just gonna select that folder and click open. And now all the images in that folder have been imported. If you come to the collect images section, you can find your film roll, which will have all the different folders you import. The folder I imported specifically was called exports because there's less images in it because they were just the final exports for the video. Now you can come over to the darkroom section. Now over here you have your settings, your waveform, Down here you have your camera settings that you use when taking the photo. So I took this photo at 1/160th of a second at f1.8 with the 51.8 from Yongnuo at 400 ISO. So if we come here to the original, the first step I would take, an overview of the editing section, is that you have 4 tabs, each with different names. So there's effects in here, grading in here, technical, and only active modules. So if you come here to technical and go to exposure, you can adjust your exposure up or down. In this case, I want to bring it down slightly. Then you can come to your base curve and make the image more contrasty by adding an S curve. That's a bit much contrast. Then, if you come over here to the grading section, you can turn the vibrance up and down, do color calibration, or your basic adjustments. So here you can control saturation, gonna pull some of it out, and a bit less vibrance. If you come over to effects, you can find the vignette and adjust it. And now, in that quick time, we've taken your image from this to this. Click the video on screen to learn about better photography with your phone. But first, click here to subscribe.